holistic reflections. The techniques and philosophies in this video are not meant to be used for diagnosing or prescribing, nor are they intended as a substitute for medical care or surgery, but as a complement to them. Holistic reflections will not recognize or accept any responsibility for experiences, both positive and negative, of the viewer due to the utilization of this tape or techniques therein.
Forgive me, that's why you're here, to forgive me. Forgiving's our purpose.
The power of human touch. People all over the world are rediscovering human touch as a valuable therapeutic tool, and they're getting dramatic results. At this very moment, thousands of health professionals and lay people are using this method to relieve anxiety and tension without medication, decrease and often eliminate all pain, accelerate the body's healing by embracing the body's natural ability to self-correct, induce profound relaxation, and promote and sustain their own good health and well-being. Healing through touch has been called therapeutic touch, Reiki, the light touch, and so forth. Therapeutic touch is currently being taught in over 80 colleges and universities here in the United States and 43 foreign countries. Today there are an estimated 30,000 nurses using this technique as an extension of nursing care. Numerous studies substantiate its effectiveness. Since learning therapeutic touch in 1981 and armed with almost daily demonstrations of its effectiveness, Judy Cipollone has been an inspiration to hundreds who have attended her workshops. You'll find this video is a delightful step-by-step guide to the process of healing through touch. Its focus is one of simplicity, humor, and love. Simplicity because many people tend to make healing all too complicated. Humorous because joyful moments are in demand by our immune systems. And love because love is the absolute common denominator in all healing. Anyone with a sincere desire to help others can learn this process. Does this mean you? Well, bring your hands, some unconditional love, and enjoy your video journey in the light touch. Meet Judy Cipollone, registered nurse, licensed massage therapist, alternative healthcare practitioner, and author of The Light Touch.
Some call me a healer, but more accurately, I'm merely a channel, vehicle, or instrument used in the healing process, because no one heals another person. The healing is always done by the one receiving, whom we call the healee. No matter what term you want to use, I find that miracles are very normal in my life, and I attribute that to the fact that I live my life with awareness of the power of touch. I found that to be the ideal support system for my own health care and the health care of others. Not only does it work right through casts, clothing, and rubber gloves, but it's very effective even when working right above the skin, or I might say not actually touching. This is an added blessing when there are medical reasons such as severe burns, infections, or trauma that contraindicate touching the area. Healing through touch embraces the body's natural ability to self-correct and to restore the calm within. It's one of the most caring and loving things that you can offer another person. I'm speaking of touching on an energy level. You're doing some form of this every day of your life. There's a continual interaction on an energy level with all living things. Remember places that you went that felt awful and made you want to leave? How about places that felt so wonderful that you'd gladly return anytime? The key is to live with an awareness of the power of this energy and to be able to put it to work for the benefit of yourself and others. I can remember so many instances in my years of traditional nursing when everything that I knew to do as a nurse just wasn't enough. The patient couldn't have anything more for pain, or the wound just wouldn't heal. For a dying patient or for their loved ones, words just weren't enough. I saw numerous co-workers suffering from relentless stress and burnout. Well, for myself and for thousands of regular people, for example, those with no apparent gifts for healing, the technique of healing through touch has been a marvelous answer and one that resounds to the nurse in so many of us. Its uses are endless, your ability to participate unquestionable. Now you'd think with all my enthusiasm for this process that I must have been a real natural in this work, huh? In 1981, I was an unsuspecting, regular person looking for a fun course to take to get continuing education units for my nursing license. The class that I took was called Therapeutic Touch, which is a healing process made popular by Dr. Dolores Krieger that stems from the ancient art of laying on of hands. There came a moment of reckoning. We were supposed to share what we had just felt in the previous exercise. Well, I was totally intimidated because I felt nothing. I felt nothing while others were excitedly describing areas in which they felt heat, static electricity, congestion, and even colors that they saw around the body of the participant. Some even claimed that they were totally dubious of the process, and yet they were even able to experience unusual findings. I found it all very inspiring as well as frustrating, and somehow I managed to hang in there. That course provided one of the most rewarding and important paths of my life, the beginning of a healing journey. Well, I tried these new skills on a number of friends with assorted ailments, and to my surprise and amazement, I was gathering a few demos, which is what I call outward demonstrations of healing. The pain in the shoulder left, headache stopped, cramps ceased, and so forth. All of that as I walked through the process with the intent to help her heal, but felt nothing. We were taught intervention techniques, which means doing something about the cues you picked up while scanning the body of the healee. I was pretty much at a loss because I hadn't picked up anything. Out of necessity, my version became very simple, but as time went on, I also found it extremely effective. I used to chuckle that my entire routine amounted to stop, go, and bless. Now that's an exaggeration, but it was all that I had to work with. There I was, a non-feeling healer majoring in touch and having increasing success. My point in all this is that whether you're a feeler or a non-feeler is not the issue in effectively doing this work. I'm here to tell you that at this moment, you are fully equipped and capable of learning this marvelous process. The key lies in that you lovingly allow yourself to unfold using your own individual style. As you do the exercises, if you happen to feel something as you're listening with your hands, that's great. If you happen to feel nothing, that's great too. Or perhaps you fall in between, and once in a while you pick up something. It just doesn't matter. Wherever you fall in this business of sensing, I'm here to guide you along the way, right where you are. In this film, I'm merely showing you a way. There are many ways to facilitate healing in others through the power of touch. I'm sharing my truth, my philosophies, and what's worked extremely well for me. I now encourage you to see what you can internally validate as being your own truth while you enjoy your personal journey in the light touch.
Part 1, we'll take a look at what healing touch is and how it works.
energy, invisible, at times imperceptible, yet profound. The entire universe is energy. Color and sound are energy in motion. Thought is energy held in space by the mind. Our bodies are energy in the physical form, surrounded by more of the same energy in the form of an energy field for several inches around the body. We can intentionally transfer energy to another person and enhance their well-being, and that's healing with touch. It's just that simple. The energy that I'm speaking of has been utilized by people all over the world since ancient times. Some call it prana, biocosmic energy, chi, life force, and so forth. You've heard, may the force be with you. Christ called it light, and the latter is my favorite since it seems to visually portray what I see happening when I place my hands on another person with the intent of healing. Energy in the form of light flows from my palms of my hands into the body of the healee, lighting up every cell in its path, lighting up dark and stagnant areas, and in turn, reestablishing energy flow and balance where there were blocks. This is the reason that I found it fitting to name this the light touch. It's rather like sunshine is to a plant. You intentionally shine your light brightly for the benefit of others. You know, every time you hug someone, there's an automatic exchange of energy in the hugging that can enhance both persons. That's the reason hugs are so healthy. However, the magical ingredient that transforms an ordinary hug or an ordinary touch into something of much greater magnitude is intention. Are you merely hugging, or are you intentionally sending that person loving energy at the same time? In doing healing, there are several ways in which intention enhances the process. First is your basic intention to help or heal. Secondly, the intention that your work be for the highest good of all concerned. Now this refers to both you and the healee, and the fact that you want each of you to come away all the better for having had the experience. The energy also flows with intention. To put it quite simply, you intend that the energy flow, and it does, just like that. With regards to the specific techniques you decide to use, you intend that each one be all that it can be in reestablishing harmony and balance to the body, that it be unlimited and go wherever it's needed to go, places you might be unaware of, to be all that it can be. I used to worry about whether I was supposed to move my hand clockwise or counterclockwise when doing certain procedures. Oh, what if I would do it wrong? I eventually met up with others who were quite successful doing it exactly the opposite way. We were both getting the same end result. What we each had in common was our intention. Intention actually overrides technique. Energy follows your intention.
In part 2, we discuss and demonstrate the triple awareness breath.
What I'm going to explain now can be done in less than 30 seconds. It's a quick and efficient startup procedure in which you do these three things. You center, shield, and intend in a breath. I call this a triple awareness breath, just to keep it simple. To be centered is to operate from a point of balance, inner strength, and harmony. You learn to intentionally quiet your mind and draw your awareness into the center of your being. Part of you remains on center during the entire healing process, and it's from that central point that you focus your attention on the healee. When you're first learning this, it's more easily done in the quiet state. Later, it's possible to carry on conversations while part of you is nicely centered, kind of on automatic pilot, if you will. This is also the state in which your intuition can blossom, and notice that thoughts that come to mind might be more than regular thoughts. They might be intuitive messages or guidance that can assist in the healing. Now, shielding is a very simple technique that accomplishes a great deal. I describe this as getting your outfit on for the occasion. When you're deliberately working with the energy of another person, you're leaving yourself open to picking up unwanted energy as well. You can even pick up not the disease or the condition, but a symptom from the Healy. For example, in working with someone with a sore knee, you come away with a sore knee yourself. A very simple and effective way to handle this is to visually put a white light around your entire body. This is your outfit that you put on. It can also be pictured as a white cocoon. It's a semi-permeable covering, letting in love and positive energy, but negative energy is unable to penetrate. You can also put a separate white light around the Healy for the same reason. I'd like you to know that you can also use this white light for your own personal benefit in any negative situation that you might encounter. Many use it before going to workplaces or shopping malls, places that seem to drain your energy. You get your outfit on before you arrive and enjoy yourself. Visualization is a powerful tool and really helps to facilitate many things in this work, but naturally it's just the ticket for using the white light. However, if you're not a visual person and can't easily picture things in your mind's eye, merely declare that you have the protective white light around you, and that sort of covers you, so to speak. Simple. As you become more and more experienced, the actual steps in the triple awareness breath fade into one single package you could call intent. That when you entertain any thought of healing another, there's an automatic and immediate centering and protective white light that comes with the intent to do only the highest good. You might say it's the package plan that accompanies your hands. So there you have the big three: setting the intention, centering, and shielding. In a few moments, I'll take you through an exercise that will allow you to practice all three. You'll also experience the energy flow and your own energy field. But before that, just where are you going to get all this marvelous energy that you're so willing to send? It's important to draw it from your highest source of unlimited energy. Now, this could be God, the universe, Holy Spirit, universal mind, and so forth. The wonderful thing about this is that as it flows through you from your source, you are also the recipient and benefit by feeling marvelous afterwards. If instead you feel depleted and drained, chances are you're using your own reserve. Also, be aware of your own energy level before volunteering to work on another, because if you are depleted and tired, you need to be working on yourself first. Now I'm going to give you a preview of some of the things I'll be asking you to do in the exercise while your eyes are closed. The first is the hand stretch to make your hands more sensitive. Merely stretch and hold that stretch for a few seconds and relax. The second is the relaxed hand position, best for sensing the energy. And the third is the position to sense the energy between your hands. I'll ask you to then explore the energy on top of your head, down your arms, and your torso. This is about the speed that you move as you sense the area. Last of all, I'll have you pause with your hands on the heart center and on your solar plexus just under your ribs to send energy to yourself. When it comes time to draw in the energy, I find the easiest way is to intentionally draw it in through the top of your head and send it traveling down your arms and out the palms of your hands. In the beginning, it seems to work more easily if you do it with your breath. You draw in the energy as you inhale, draw it in through the top of your head, release it from the palms of your hands as you exhale. This is just to get started, and it works like a siphon, so once you get the flow established, it just flows effortlessly. Once again, if you aren't visually inclined and can't picture the energy coming in through the top of your head or the light energy coming in through the top of your head, then just declare or intend that energy is flowing, and just like that, it is. The neat thing about this exercise is that you'll be the healer as well as the healee, all in one package. The first lesson in learning how to take care of yourself. Ready now? Sit up straight, feet flat on the floor if you're in a chair, and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and let it all out through your mouth. Again, deep breath in through your nose, inhaling peace, life, and energy. And exhale through your mouth, breathing out all thoughts, fears, and negativity. One last time, deep breath in through your nose as you pull your awareness into your center. And breathe out all thought as you exhale through your mouth and just settle down right on center. Intend that only the highest good for all concerned be done. Now emerging into your awareness is a beautiful white light, gently surrounding and enfolding you on all sides, a rather cocoon-like form from head to foot, protecting every inch of you. This light remains throughout this entire process, needing no further mental attention on your part. Focus on the palms of your hands. Fan your fingers wide apart and stretch them as tightly as possible. Hold the stretch, and relax. Again, stretch, and relax. Great. Now, keeping both hands slightly relaxed, face the palms of your hands towards each other. Slowly and gently move them closer together, then farther apart. Continue to repeat this movement as you see if you can feel a buildup of energy between your palms, a rather pillowy feeling or a slight pressure between the palms as you move slowly back and forth. Give yourself permission to feel. Allow yourself to experience the energy. Now, keeping your eyes closed and your palms relaxed, reach up with one hand to the area 6 to 8 inches above the top of your head and explore the energy of that area. What do you feel? Keep moving your hand up and down slowly as you explore. Be aware of your breath as you sense. Avoid holding your breath and just breathe normally. Arm and explore the energy field just above the skin. Notice any differences in temperature or any other sensations. When you're ready, move to the energy field of your chest and abdominal area and explore the energy there. Placing one hand on your heart center, the other on your solar plexus, begin to send energy to those areas. Pull in the energy through the top of your head as you inhale, pull it in, pull it in, pull it in, and release the energy into your chest and solar plexus as you exhale. You may want to visualize the energy as light being drawn in from your highest source. Light coming in through the top of your head as you inhale, pull it in, pull it in, pull it in, and out through the palms of your hands as you exhale, lighting up your chest, stomach, and abdomen. Try it again. Pull it in, pull it in, pull it in, and release. That's great. Now just enjoy the flow. Relax your hands, place them in your lap, and open your eyes. So what'd you pick up as you explored the energy? If you didn't feel anything, don't be too quick to label yourself as a non-feeler. Keep working at it and see if more sensitivity develops. As I told you before, either way you can do this quite well, but be patient and let yourself unfold just as you are. And now let's try the triple awareness breath with your eyes open. Ready? Take in a nice deep breath as you center, shield, and intend. And this is the way you start every healing treatment.
Part 3 will demonstrate all of the steps in the healing touch treatment.
The second step in getting started is called scanning. This is a 20-second scan of the Healy's energy field, and you make one complete trip from head to foot, front and back, scanning with your hands. And you go with your first impression as to where your attention is needed. Now the points to remember in this are: 1, begin with the hand stretch for a few seconds or rub your palms together to gain sensitivity. And 2, work with a relaxed hand, just like the one I showed you earlier. Number 3, remember to keep breathing. Number 4, go with your first impression. There are no right or wrong answers to this. And number 5, listen for intuitive messages while you're scanning. I include the technique of scanning as an optional technique for those of you who wish to incorporate it into your work. It's like having another radio station to play. With practice, many people can sense energy imbalances and congested areas and can tell when balance and flow have returned or when energy has been restored. Since I was unable to pick up these cues, I learned to do it by doing it with intention. I omit the scanning procedure and intentionally just allow the energy to be all that it can be. I direct it into specific areas, but with the intent to go everywhere else it needs to go as well. My overall goal in the healing is to restore harmony, balance, and flow, and it takes care of the details. The next step in getting started is called unruffling. This is an extremely effective technique that I love to use in healing as a preparation for the intervention techniques and as an intervention technique in itself. The term was originally coined by Dr. Dolores Krieger because it can feel as if you're smoothing an area that previously felt ruffled up or congested. It's done with a sweeping of the hands a few inches above the body, usually from head to foot. And I also use it in spot treating an area of the body, sweeping just the arm, leg, or shoulder being worked on. Unruffling seems to accelerate the effectiveness of all other work by kind of clearing the way to let it in. It clears away positive ions, which make us feel irritable and unsettled, and allows negative ions to flow into the area, which make for an immediate sense of well-being. It also redistributes areas of energy overload with areas where it's lacking. Because it's very soothing, it's a wonderful tool for fussy babies or fussy grown-ups having a harried day. The latter is the reason that you may want to remember to use it on yourself when you're feeling out of sorts. You merely do it like this. Just sweep your entire body, going all the way down your legs and past your feet, and be sure to include your back as well as you can. It's also great for burns and swollen areas such as edema in the legs. You just sweep, 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 making sure you go clear out past the end of the foot. All of these reasons make it a valuable step to use in any healing. The fourth step in getting started is called intervention. Now this is where you allow your intuitive skills to blossom and intend that the energy be all that it can be. I'll be covering a number of specific techniques later, but let me say that if only you placed your hands on the Healy and intentionally allowed the energy to flow and be all that it can be for the highest good, enormously profound work would be being done. You might see it as a divine connection or a divine moment. I'm always amazed when I work with other healers at the wide variety of approaches in using touch to help or heal. Some totally work above the body, some right on it. Some do both. Some scan in order to assess the energy field and base the work on the cues picked up during the scan, and others, like myself, don't scan at all. Some work with the chakras or energy centers, and others don't. The list is endless, and yet you find healers having tremendous success with each version. It's wonderful. Find whatever style is the most comfortable for you, and just remember that the important thing is the intent. Remember I said intention overrides technique, and energy follows your intention. Let it be all that it can be. Let it restore harmony, balance, flow, and wholeness where it's needed. The next step in getting started is called grounding the Healy. Webster's dictionary defines grounding as preventing the pilot from flying. After a healing technique of any real length, it's important to ground the Healy. This is generally done just by holding the shoulders or the feet for a few moments and intentionally grounding them. Otherwise, the Healy can feel as if he's floating afterwards and not be very safe for driving and so forth. Drinking water also helps to ground, and I always recommend that water consumption be increased after a treatment to flush the toxins out that are released in the healing. They might as well get started on it and ground at the same time. The sixth and final step is called terminating. When do you quit? Well, you stop when the cues have subsided, or when the busyness that you were feeling in your hands ceases, or when you sense that balance has been restored, or when energizing a person, you no longer feel the drawing sensation in your hands as if it were sucking the energy into a depleted body. You can also pay attention to your inner guidance to tell you when it's time to quit. Now, I found that for me personally, it's important to have a clear-cut method of breaking the connection between myself and the Healy. Otherwise, there's a certain amount of connectedness that can continue on for some time, which can act as an energy drain. It'll gradually fade away on its own, but it's better to be definite about it. You can either just mentally declare that you're now through and disconnect, or take the side of your hand and slice down the front of you, breaking all connection. I find that the last one is very simple and effective, and I just usually do it before washing my hands at the end of the treatment. So there you have the 6 steps in getting started. The triple awareness breath, scanning, unruffling, intervention, grounding the Healy, and terminating.
Part 4 presents specific intervention techniques.
And now I'm going to talk about other specific intervention techniques. And just as a reminder, I've already covered 2 of these. One is the unruffling, and the other is the power of the touch itself. The next one is massage. Touching with intention always makes a difference, and since I'm a licensed massage therapist, I clearly see the value of including this technique in this work. I find that it seems to get the energy flowing in the Healy, and that I can work on a bad back, for example, even more effectively if I add massage. I love to work on bad backs. Massage, like unruffling, seems to get the body to sort of let you in. You can either massage lightly right through clothing, or if the situation permits, you can get the old almond oil out and do an oil massage. You can also energize the oil for healing and add even another dimension to your work. You just merely hold the bottle of oil between your hands and energize it. Just takes 5 to 10 minutes. The next technique is called the double hand boost. All this is one hand on top of the other, over a painful area or wherever you want to use it. Usually you're touching the skin surface, although it's not necessary to even touch. When I began using two hands on a spot instead of just one, it just seemed to get faster results, and thus you have the double hand boost. The next technique is called a laser. Now picture the fact that energy comes right off the tips of your fingers, sort of in long extensions. Now imagine what you could do with that. You can point your fingers straight into the area, usually while touching the skin surface, and laser the area. I often roll or rotate the tips of my fingers back and forth, changing the angle in which the laser is entering the body. This works great for sore spots and sore joints. The next technique is called ultrasound. This was coined by a friend and teacher of mine, Janet Menken. It's been one of the most fun and effective techniques that I know of for pain and for getting things moving. It's almost magical. I tried it on a client with a pulled hamstring the day after I learned it, and about 4 minutes later there was no pain. That got my attention. This technique has been a favorite of mine ever since. Ultrasound uses the same principle as lasering in that energy is extending from the fingers, and you can point the fingers into the area without touching the skin. Move your hand in a circle or back and forth or up and down, but move it. It just doesn't matter the direction, just as long as you're moving, and that seems to be what makes the difference. I usually keep my other hand, or my left hand, on the body of the Healy near to the problem area, while my right hand is over the area, moving back and forth or around in a circle. The next technique I'll cover is called boosting and balancing the chakras. Chakras are the well-known energy centers of the body. There are 7 major chakras on the torso, neck, and head of the body, and minor chakras at the major joints of the arms and legs. And yes, there are still more chakras, but these are the ones that we'll be using. You'll find different versions of chakras in different books. The major chakras have a distinguishing color. However, you'll find different versions of even these. My point is, pick a version, any version. Any version will work. Now, it's very easy to remember where the 7 major chakras are. If you just start right over the pubic bone as the first chakra, and a hand's width up from that is the second, and a hand's width up from that is the third. And so there you have the first 3. Generally, the third one puts you just about under the rib cage. The 4th is the heart. The 5th is the throat. 6th is the forehead or the brow, and 7th is the crown. So I think you'll find them very easy to remember. Now, some people tend to get quite excited about chakras and have many always and nevers to relate about them. They've been a major focus for seekers of higher spiritual growth for ages. Again, they are tools, and you can use the same tools to achieve a variety of results. In this case, I'll be focusing on the part they play in facilitating healing and wholeness. Of what importance are these in healing? Well, they're the focus for restoring balance to the body. There are areas you also might perceive as you're scanning the body, because those of you who are sensitive can detect the increase in energy as your hand passes over the area. When all chakras are what we call open and balanced, there's a state of well-being and harmony, and it promotes health and wholeness. When the chakra is blocked, the surrounding area is being compromised due to the lack of energy flow. Surgery or trauma can cause the associated chakras to block. Emotions and thought can also cause them to block. They're frequently blocking and opening as you go about your day, experiencing things emotionally. Remember when you were frightened about speaking in front of a group and you felt a little nauseated? That's what it feels like to have that chakra blocked. And you get so you can feel when everything is open and flowing, and feel when you're blocked. Now, this is where you, the healer, come in. You can intentionally boost and balance the chakras, your own included, thereby enhancing the body's circuitry and consequently its function. This can be done a number of ways, but each one has the same old common denominator: intention. For those who have just returned from surgery, for example, you can place your hands on their feet and intend that energy travel up the entire body, opening, energizing, and balancing every chakra. What this does for the Healy is it gets them out of the hospital faster, sort of like jump-starting the body, and all the major systems seem to return to normal much more quickly. That means that it's an ideal technique to start on right in the recovery room, or for a family member to offer to this person when they return to the room. And of course, unruffling is another wonderful thing to add at the same time. A second way to boost or balance the chakras, and one is in which is extremely relaxing to receive, is to energize each major and minor chakra by placing your hands over each one individually. You do this with the intent to boost and balance, and again, letting the energy be all that it can be. This process is in itself an intervention technique and facilitates wonderful changes, but it also lays perfect groundwork for all other intervention techniques and seems to create just the right condition for them to be even more effective. This is one in which I always begin with for anyone with a major illness or a systemic problem. The next is a shortcut version of using the chakras to get faster results in spot treating a problem area, and I call this the buddy system. I've found that by energizing the nearest chakra, major or minor, on either side of the problem, the results are much faster than if I just work the actual spot by itself. After doing both the adjacent chakras, I then move to the spot itself. For example, if the problem were in the elbow, I energize the shoulder and the wrist. Then I move to the elbow. If it were in the shoulder, I energize the elbow and the throat or the heart chakra. While I'm on the subject of chakras, I like to include a self-nurturing technique that I call the Magnificent Seven. This is one of the most wonderful ways of taking care of yourself using the 7 major chakras. Just by energizing each one of them, starting with your root chakra and working your way up to the crown, spending a couple minutes on each one, you have a tool to use as ongoing self-maintenance and nurturing that is a way for you to go off to sleep at night. It's a way to feel good during the day, and it's a way to start your day. I have many clients do this 2 to 4 times a day to assist and accelerate in their own healing, and thereby taking responsibility for their own health. So in summary, there's 4 ways to use the chakras to assist in healing. The first is to just put your hands on the feet and intend that energy travel up the entire body, opening, energizing, and balancing every chakra. This particular one is good for anyone who's had surgery. The second way is to boost and balance all the chakras and place your hand on or above each one individually. This is particularly good for anyone with a major illness or a systemic problem. Third way is to use the buddy system, which is to energize the adjacent chakras on either side of the problem, and it's particularly effective for doing spot treatment and quick treatment. And the fourth way is called the Magnificent Seven, and it involves energizing all 7 major chakras individually, either by placing your hand on or above each one for a few moments. This is good for your own self-nurturing, or for someone to take responsibility for their own health care and participate, someone who has an ongoing health problem, or just to use as an intervention technique in itself. The next technique is called the back package. There are 4 parts that make up this package, and the first one is called massage. We've already talked about how effective that is and how great it can be for getting the Healy's energy moving. It's extremely effective for working on bad backs. The second part of this package is called the thumb walk. This is one that I like to include in any back problem, being sensitive to the amount of pressure exerted at the site of any injury that might be present. Not only does it do wonders for the back, but it's very relaxing, and it energizes each of the spinal nerves that connect with various body organs, enhancing the well-being of each one. You stand at the head of the table, one open hand on each side of the spine, palms down. thumbs pointed toward the spine. Now walk your thumbs down the spine, alternating as you walk. You'll find a nice little groove that each thumb fits in. You stay on each spot for a few moments, maybe 20 seconds, and firmly rotate your thumb in a tiny circle. Now you might need to step to one side or the other if your arms aren't long enough to reach the lower spine as you get to that area. The third part of the back package is called the Hopi Indian. Now this is my all-time favorite back technique, mostly because of the profound results I tend to get every time I use it. It's thought to have originated by a Hopi Indian healer and was passed on to me by friends of mine several years ago. The first move is a double hand boost starting at the top of the spine. Now, as you stay there for a little bit, you may start feeling a lot of busyness in the palm of your hands, but regardless of what you feel, it's working. You merely hold that position until all cues cease, or till after you've been there for a while. If nothing's happening, you just move on to the next position. Try not to lean on the person. This is light work. The second part of this is the laser. On the same spot, you place the fingertips of one hand on the far side of the spine, fingertips of the other on the closer side of the spine. Your fingers are relaxed. All four on each hand line up in a row parallel to the spine without using your thumbs. They lightly touch the skin. One hand is reaching over the other. Your wrists are touching each other. Now you just keep your fingers there, essentially doing the laser technique and intending that the energy flow through your fingers. Many times at this point, I begin to sense needles and pin sensations, and it's not uncommon for the Healy to feel sensations even down in his or her feet, or to swear that you can't be creating all that with just your fingertips. And that's true. You're not just using your fingertips. You move to the next step only when all activity in your fingers cease. Know that it's working, even if you and the Healy both feel nothing. The third move in the back package, on the same area of the spine, is to place the thumbs of both hands on the side of the spine closest to you, and directly across from each thumb, but on the opposite side, place each middle finger. Now you mentally imagine that you have little etheric extensions connecting each finger with the corresponding thumb. You use what we call the flats of your fingers, and you flatten the last section of your finger and thumb so that they lie fairly horizontal to the person's back. Press in slightly and wait for a feeling of connection between the fingers and the thumb. Whenever you're ready, when you feel a connection, or whether you do or not, push down with additional pressure and immediately pull the fingers up and off of the skin, breaking the connection, and return to the skin surface with a double hand boost to seal the process. The double hand boost was the fourth move. You now move to the next area on the spine and start all over. And you do this until you've worked the entire spine. Now let's walk through that one more time. You start with a double hand boost, move to the laser technique, then to the fingers and the thumbs, mentally imagining little etheric extensions connecting each finger with each thumb. And when you sense the connection, you dip down, pull up, and seal with a double hand boost. That's all there is to it. You move to the next spot. Now when you get to the end of the spine, the last thing to do in the back package is ultrasound. So I place one hand on the top of the spine and up in the cervical area, and the other hand ultrasounds the entire spine, back and forth and back and forth. This makes a wonderful back care package. Now, I literally did this for a number of years without sensing anything in the entire process, and yet I had tremendous results with bad backs. So I continue to get excited calls from previous students who finally had the occasion to use this, and they too had phenomenal results, even when using it in a hurry. So enjoy it. One of the most important concepts to understand in doing healing is that it's a continual creative process. There are no perfect techniques to use all the time. If during one of your treatments you couldn't remember a technique to do, and you had the intention to help her heal for the highest good, you'd be all set. To merely allow life force to flow through your hands with the proper intention is really what it's all about. Couple that with your intuitiveness and you're all set to invent and create as you flow with life force. Or while doing one of the techniques that I've already listed, maybe you'll be inspired to create a new version. And that's why I want to talk to you for a moment about reflexology. Reflexology is the science that deals with the principle that there are reflex areas in the feet and hands which correspond to all the glands, organs, and parts of the body. You can enhance the wellness of all these areas by working the corresponding point on the foot or hand. But this point can often be painful to work. Well, one day I was working on a friend of mine, Connie, who had a diagnosed ovarian cyst, and it was extremely tender to palpate, and so was the corresponding spot on her foot. And it occurred to me to try sending energy to the reflex point rather than putting her through the misery of using my finger to massage that point. So I first used a double hand boost over the area on the foot, then some ultrasound right on that same point. In minutes, the painful reflex point disappeared, and upon returning to the ovary and palpating it, there was no pain. A CAT scan shortly after that showed that the cyst had decreased by 50%. And since then, I've used reflexology as an intervention technique, but I do it my way, the painless way, with energy. Along that same line of inventing or creating new versions, recently a friend told me she had been very successful using the Hopi Indian technique on other areas of the body. And specifically, she had used it on the arch of the foot, which in reflexology corresponds to the spine. This was totally effective in relieving the Healy's back problem that she was working on. Do you see? Keep listening. Keep creating. Kind of fascinating that in an area as small as the arch of the foot, that in turn corresponds to the entire spine, a lot of groundwork is covered just by doing one little Indian. The last intervention technique that I want to mention is the most important one, and that's intuitive work. As I said before, keep in mind that even though it sounds like your same internal voice speaking, you may be receiving thoughts of a higher level. Some call it guidance. So suspect that perhaps, just perhaps, you may be receiving messages of great importance. And if you get an inkling to place your hand in a certain way or move it to another area, pay attention. Get busy suspecting that maybe, just maybe, this might be important. Now, there are a couple other things I'd like to mention as additional helps that aren't actual intervention techniques in themselves, but certainly are important. The first one is called an energy pillow. Now, I've found that this works great for musculoskeletal problems, post-operative incisions, and any painful spot, even babies with colic. It's made with 100% cotton batting, and you can get it in fabric stores. I cut it into squares about this size and cover it with a soft flannel cover open at one end so that you can launder it if you need to. I've also devised ones with ties in order to anchor them to a knee or shoulder more securely. To energize an energy pillow, you just hold it between your hands and intend that energy flows. It can be done in 5 to 10 minutes, and it holds energy for months and seems to pick up more energy the more it's used. Energy pillows are a wonderful gift for anyone going in for an elective surgery or one who's had surgery. The first thing I do for anyone in the hospital is take them an energy pillow, anyone in pain. And I constantly hear stories of people who have had major surgery who are totally comfortable afterwards and never required a thing for pain and only used the energy pillow. Next, I'd like to remind you about the importance of water. Water, water, water. Again, it's a very important step after treatment, and it assists the toxic waste right out the door. Essentially, there are 3 ways to use healing touch. It varies depending on the amount of time you have and how seriously ill they are. The first way is just to send energy, and it's a marvelous thing to do to revitalize someone or to just add some well-being. You start with a triple awareness breath and unruffle and send energy, usually through the shoulders, and terminate. You've just done a marvelous thing for someone. Now the second thing is called the buddy system, and you'll recall we talked about using this for spot treating an area. You start with a triple awareness breath, unruffle, energize the 2 adjacent chakras, or places such as the wrist that doesn't have a chakra on each side. You just do the one, and do your intervention treatment of the area. Anything else you'd like to do, and terminate. Now this is something that can make a big difference even in just a couple of minutes. The last version, or the full-length version, is one for the more seriously ill, or people with problems that affect their entire body, such as leukemia and so forth. You start with a triple awareness breath, do an optional scan if you like, unruffle, boost and balance all major and minor chakras, do any intervention technique that you like, ground the Healy, and terminate.
In Part 5, we'll look at using healing touch or light touch in real-life situations.
Now I'd like to get on with some real-life situations that might give you some ideas of how to use this. For example, if someone had a sore knee, now with each of these you naturally start with a triple awareness breath. But then you move on to unruffling the entire leg. Come clear out past the end of the foot. Then you'd use the buddy system and energize the chakra in the ankle and energize the chakra in the hip. Or you might want to do both at once. And then move to the knee for specific treatment. Now you can start with a double hand boost. You might want to use the laser. Perhaps a little ultrasound. And you might want to even put one hand below the knee and one hand on top and run energy between the two. It just doesn't matter. You just make it up as you go or listen for guidance as you go. There's no set treatment. And naturally visualize the healthy and whole knee while you're working on it. Visualize flow on the entire leg. Visualize light, lighting up the area. And that takes care of the knee. Now suppose someone had a sore throat. You do the same thing. You start with a triple awareness breath. Sweep the area or unruffle the entire head and throat and chest area. Energize the heart chakra or the closest chakra. And energize the brow chakra. You might again want to do both at the same time. And return to the throat. And here you can do a double hand boost. Some ultrasound. And you may want to just keep on unruffling this area and just sweep, sweep, sweep. And there you have the throat, or anything else you wanted to do to the throat. Now let's talk a little bit about taking care of yourself. We've already talked about the Magnificent Seven, or balancing your own 7 major chakras, but I can't stress enough how important it is to use something like this for your own health maintenance. And just as in all the other procedures, you take your triple awareness breath, unruffle yourself, and give some energy to each chakra. Now you can either put 2 hands on one chakra or a single hand on the chakras. Doesn't matter. Another thing that helps you in your own energy is to remember to sit up straight and stand up straight and breathe. When you take in breath, you're taking in life force at the same time. You're taking in energy. And when you sit up straight and stand up straight, you have a better flow of energy throughout your entire body, and your body receives a message that it's energized and feeling great. The last thing I'd like you to remember is that when you place your hands on someone and have the flow of energy, it goes clear through that body, clear to the table or whatever they're lying on. So supposing there came a day when your back was bothering you and you had no one to help you with it. Well, think of the fact that you could reach your back with energy by sending it from the front. So do the same thing you've been doing for everyone else. You start with your triple awareness breath. Follow that with as much unruffling as you can get done. And you can either do the Magnificent Seven and energize all 7 major chakras as part of the process, or if you're in a hurry, just go right to the level of where your back is bothering you and work on it from the front at the same level. I've personally done this and had tremendous results. I've done the Hopi Indian from the front. I've done ultrasound from the front, lasering from the front. Whatever you decide to do, you can do it from the front. Just remember that you have that option and you can work on your own back. One of the great joys in this work for me has been working with animals and working on animals using healing touch. I've used it on horses, dogs, cats, turtles, and I'd probably work on anything that came along that needed my help. But a few years ago, my dog Buttercup had a severe eye injury, and along with taking her to the vet, I also did healing touch. As you can see, she has 2 very normal eyes today, even though at one point she had a large white scar on the eye itself. On another occasion, I worked on a horse who had an arthritic knee for several months, and all I did was exactly what I just outlined for a sore knee on a person. And that took about 20 minutes, and the horse has been fine ever since. My point is to remember to extend this to all living things and not just to people. Animals need it too. As far as the longer version goes, I always do that particular one for anyone going into the hospital for an elective surgery, or if they've already had surgery, I do the same version if the situation permits. The same holds true of injuries. I'd now like you to meet a young man named Michael who was in an automobile accident and is suffering with a broken neck. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
How's it going?
Much better.
Since you've had a treatment?
Yeah.
Michael has been in an automobile accident and is currently being treated for a broken neck and multiple contusions. The injury was 4 days ago, and yesterday, I should switch back and say, you had your first healing touch therapy, which made some differences. Can you say what the differences were, Michael? What changed for you during the treatment?
There were dramatic changes. I lost some sensations of pain and got more control over my legs and hands specifically, to where I can move them now. My right hand, I could not make a solid fist with it. Now I can grab and
Great.
move.
So your strength returned?
Yeah, my strength returned. I had a twisted ankle. It's no longer sore. Calf is fine. I'm still feeling a little bit of pain in my head, but that's just from the bones that they keep tightening up, so my neck will stay straight.
Okay. Now, you've noticed a significant improvement even in the pain where the tongues are, is that right? Today that's changed for you?
Yes. Just within the last 5 minutes.
Because I just treated you.
Yeah.
You just received a treatment. Well, that's great. Michael's agreed to let us film this so that we can give you a better idea of a real-life situation using therapeutic touch or healing touch. And I really appreciate that. So if you can just lie back, I'm going to sort of walk through some of the stuff that I've already done for you and just show them in a little faster version some of what we've done for you. I want to say that Michael's on a slant because he's on a bed that keeps him from getting bed sores, and so it oscillates back and forth with the tongs in his head and weights hanging from the tongs for his broken neck. So this is why everything looks lopsided. And if you can just follow this, first thing that I did was just to sweep Michael down, just to redirect some of the energy, taking it way out the feet, because so many times there are kind of pockets of energy that seem to hang around the upper part of the body, and to sweep it down just redistributes it and kind of lets you in. The next thing that I did was just give some energy to each of the major and minor chakras. So I started with his legs, then I moved from legs to hip. You can see that what I do is just work with whatever the situation is, that if they're on a slant or moving back and forth, then I just adapt to that rather than making them move and making the patient move in any way. And knee to hip. Then I just did the 7 major chakras, starting with the first 2. And this is just pretty relaxing normally. Is that how it's been for you?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
kind of,
totally comfortable.
you're totally comfortable. That's pretty outstanding for being in the picture in here. Yeah. So just work up the body. Kind of get up to the top part here. Then I switched and did his minor energy centers or chakras over on the opposite arm. Include the elbow. And I probably stayed maybe 3 minutes on each one. Then did the minor chakras of the other arm. Elbow. And then the throat, forehead, and crown. Then I went back and did some extra work, doing some ultrasound. If I can have your arm, Michael, we'll just do a little bit more for this arm, and just some sweeping off, some ultrasound for the arm, just to get everything flowing. And you said that what tingling, now yesterday when I did this, it just, the treatment created a nicer arm for you. You had strength back, you had sensation back.
Immediately.
Everything changed. Today there was just a little tingling here, and now this, and now that's cleared. Okay. For the tongs, what I did was just stay on that site with some energy right into the area. And I just did some ultrasound right around the attachments here. And that gave Michael some real nice relief. He went from not really preferring to smile and laugh to not minding, huh? Now, one of the things that's exciting about Michael is that he has actually 2 gifts that he can use right now, so that he's not a victim and he's not just at the mercy of time passing. The 2 things that he has are time. You have plenty of time on your hand, is that right? And he has a beautiful mind with the ability to visualize. And that's the most powerful combination that you can have when you have some time to be able to just see. Michael's been spending some time just seeing the perfect neck and the perfect spine and seeing it all healed, as well as full range of motion. So he's totally flexible and mobilized. At the end of all this, when these tongues come out, we want to have the best Michael possible. And that's just what you get when you work on this level. The other thing is that because Michael is visual, he can also see energy coming in through the top of his head. I've encouraged him to see it as a beam of light coming in through the top of his head and going on down, lighting up his whole body. And you do that with breath, at taking in a deep breath, pulling it in through here, and as you exhale, sending it on down through the body. So with time, he can just lie here and use breath and intention. Energy always follows intention, and so if you intend to have it flow, it flows. If you intend that it's coming in through the top of your head, that's where it's coming in. And so Michael's been a busy guy, and it's working. And I can't wait to show the next part of the video where he's you going to roller skate or skateboard, or what are you going to do for the next part?
How about if I ride a motorcycle?
You ride a motorcycle. Well, I heard one time that didn't work out so well for you. All right.
Not quite this bad, though.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, we want to get the lesson here so you don't have this anymore. All right. The last thing that I do after I've just done some intuitive work, kind of just working around areas that seem to call to my attention. I've given him lots of energy in the area where his liver and pancreas and spleen are when they got all jostled up in the accident. So at the very last, I just sweep him down and hold his feet. He's going to put one foot up here so you can see that I'm holding his feet. And that's about it. And this is just something that's one of the nicest things that you could ever offer a person. Something to do when there's nothing to do. And now I'd like you to meet Linda and Jeffrey Wilson.
Jeffrey was born prematurely at 7 months or 28 weeks gestation, weighing only 2 pounds, 8 ounces. We were told he couldn't be held, but only touched. I immediately instructed the entire family to see a white light and love completely encircling his isolette, even when we were not at the hospital. I had never worked with such a tiny being. At first my hands were actually shaking, but I was well aware of the healing power of touching with intention. I would run my hand over and around him, working just above his skin and just doing a lot of sweeping or unruffling. At other times, I just placed one hand at his head and the other at his feet and sent energy to his entire body. Still other times, I just placed my hand on his back and touched intentionally. The nurses commented on how calm Jeffrey was and how he responded to my touch. With my encouragement, they too joined in, also touching him intentionally. They actually became an extension of my thoughts and hands for Jeffrey when I couldn't be there. A priceless gift. I continually thanked them for touching Jeffrey. Jeffrey set records in his progress. We were told he'd be in the hospital 12 weeks or more, and to our delight, he came home in 10. He is now 10 months old and has absolutely no residual damage from the prematurity, not even damage to his ears or eyes from the use of oxygen. His most recent test showed his cognitive skills to be totally in line with 10-month-olds. I can't say enough for the power of touching with intention.
In Part 6, we'll review some enhancers and points to ponder.
You know, people often ask me what they can do to sort of get the hang of this better or flow a little more easily, and I really see that there are several things that can be done to enhance the healing process, and I call these enhancers. The first is visualization. You know, thoughts aren't just thoughts, and pictures aren't just pictures. Both are actually creating reality on an energy level and ultimately creating reality on the physical level. So it's very important to visualize the healthy, whole person. Visually ignore the fact that there's a broken bone, malignancy, or obvious disease. We tend to give our power away to diseases. This is a good way to diffuse the situation and melt it down to a size that's easier to deal with. Just see the area as an area that needs more attention, or areas of energy block or energy imbalance. Visualize light coming into the area as you work. Visualize balance and flow being restored. The next is detaching yourself from outcomes. You know, healing isn't always health, nor is it always in the form that you'd expect. It may mean healing physical ailments, or it may mean healing emotional conflicts and healing relationships, and thus becoming more whole, balanced, and at peace. You see, this always works, and it always makes a positive difference on some level. However, there aren't always outward signs. This can be delayed by several hours, or maybe you won't see them at all. You merely channel the energy to the Healy, intending that it be all that it can be for the highest good possible, and the Healy takes it from there. Your job, if you care to accept it, is to get out of the way and realize the perfection of whatever happens. Another enhancer is to remember unconditional love. Have you ever heard of unconditional love? That's love not when you get thinner, not after you clear up your case of acne, but now, imperfections and all. Not only is it self-love, but it's the unconditional love you have for the wonderful human being you're working on, just the way he or she is now. It says, I want you to be all that you can be. It's a daily awareness of places you can love yourself more, or love others more. You know, I can't quite feature God saying that he'll love you as soon as you get rid of the cellulite on your thighs, can you? And speaking of that love, that's just what I consider the essence of the light energy that you're channeling to the Healy, a flow of pure love. Now the next point in enhancing the flow is your ego. Oh, my aching ego. It's that little voice that says, wow, this isn't working, I'm a failure. Or the one that says, I fixed it, I fixed it. Now I know that you know who actually does the healing. That's right, it's the Healy. But sometimes your ego forgets. Some of the worst times are when you have a personal stake in the situation and you're treating loved ones and desperately want them to be well. Or you're out to prove to someone else that this stuff really works. Oh, she failed. Gotcha. I used to handle this by mentally asking my ego to wait in the corner of the room until I was through. Then I decided this wasn't a very loving thing to do for part of my wonderful self. Remember unconditional love? Since then, I still have my ego journey to the corner of the room, but I send someone to give it a loving massage during the wait. And this actually works for me. And the last thing that really enhances the process is to expect it to work. I found over the years that the more that I saw it work, the more I expected it to work, and the more it actually worked. Remember the fact that thought is energy, so expect this to work. Expect it to do wonderful things. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about issues. These are the little darlings that we must address in order to find a more permanent solution to health problems. We don't just accidentally get disease and dysfunction. It doesn't just happen to us. Disease and dysfunction are merely the body's way of making us get on with our unfinished internal work. It's a red flag that tells us to take better care of ourselves and look where we can forgive more and love more, forgive others more and love others more, where we need to let go of resentments. It's an opportune time to, as I often put it, look for the punchline. The prize is that once you've managed to heal the issue or address the issue, harmony rushes in and fills it right up. And your life changes for the better each time you confront yourself and allow love and forgiveness in. A wonderful book and great resource for you is Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. Read it with the thought that maybe, just maybe, there's some truth here. Her book is a list of diseases and issues that correspond to the disease or body part, followed by a healing affirmation. When I first read her book, I thought many of the issues were right on target for other people until I looked up my issue. I had terrible problems with my knees all my life, and it said something about not being flexible and flowing, and something that had to do with being stubborn and so forth. And I thought, I am too flexible and flowing. I'm one of the most flexible and flowing people that I know. Well, it took me nearly a year to get that in some situations I was pretty locked in. I was both flexible and inflexible. Well, I literally began talking to my knees and declaring myself to be more flexible and flowing. And I told them how much I loved them. You know that on a cellular level, your body is listening and responding to all that you believe and all that you're putting out most of the time. I'm very pleased to say that I have a new set of knees, ones that easily go up and down stairs. They're the best knees I've ever had in my life. As I've worked with Louise Hay's books for the last several years, I find that more and more of it's right on target. The gift is that instead of being a victim of body pain and dysfunction, it gives you tools to permanently get rid of it. If you're willing to do your homework, or I might say your issue work, tools to become more whole. Her book is an excellent place to start for some ideas as to just why you might be having the pain or the dysfunction. And some last points to ponder. There isn't a physical or emotional condition in which healing cannot benefit. The healer doesn't have to believe in the process in order for it to work. However, the more allowing and open the healer is to receive the process, the greater the chances of benefit on all levels. Healing touch isn't meant to be used as a substitute for sound medical care, but rather as an adjunct to it. In emergencies, all trauma and injuries tend to respond extremely fast when treated immediately with healing energy. It seems like the cells are just primed to return to normal and respond very quickly when given just a little assistance. It's an ideal adjunct to do right on the way to the hospital, right along with normal medical care. The key is to remember to use it.
So in summary, intention includes, number 1, your basic intention to help or heal. Number 2, the intention that your work be only for the highest good of all concerned. Number 3, intend that the energy flow, and it does. Number 4, intend that the energy be unlimited in doing the highest good, that it go wherever it is needed, places you may be unaware of, to be all that it can be. Intention overrides technique. Energy follows your intention. Reviewing the basic steps in the healing touch process. Number 1, triple awareness breath. You center, shield, and intend in one breath. Number 2, scanning. Do the hand stretch for a few seconds or rub your palms together to gain sensitivity. Work with a relaxed hand. Remember to keep breathing. Go with your first impression. There are no right or wrong answers. And listen for intuitive messages. Number 3, unruffling. Number 4, intervention. Number 5, grounding. Number 6, terminating. Reviewing the specific intervention techniques. Unruffling, the power of just the touch. Massage, double hand boost. Laser, ultrasound, boost and balance chakras. The buddy system, and the back package, massage, thumb walk, Hopi Indian, ultrasound. Reflexology, intuitive work. Reviewing 3 ways to use healing touch. Number 1, just send energy. Triple awareness breath. Unruffle, send energy, terminate. Number 2, the buddy system for spot treating. Triple awareness breath, unruffle, energize the 2 adjacent chakras, intervention treatment on the area, terminate. Number 3, full-length version. Triple awareness breath, scan, unruffle, boost and balance all major and minor chakras, intervention techniques, grounding, terminate.
Perhaps you figured out by now that thought is the single most powerful tool you have to work with. Nestled in thought are both your intention and your intuition, rather like the gatekeepers to the unlimited and to the profound. Touching with intention can provide the groundwork for a wonderful inner journey. More and more, you'll find yourself intuitively knowing what to do. More and more, the specific techniques which have provided the training wheels will gradually fall away.